Hi everyone, this is JP LaForest from Studio JPEG. Today I will be doing a review of this Canon kit lens. So this is the 18 to 55 millimeters f3.5 to 5.6 IS lens, and it comes in the EF-S mount. At the end of this video, I will be showing some pictures both in full screen mode and also in 1:1 crop mode, so you can see how the images come out from this lens. The subjects I will be discussing are the image quality, the build quality, how the lens works for the mechanisms, and the aperture. So first of all is the image quality. The quality of this lens is actually quite good for the price that it comes in. It's not the sharpest lens out there, but it will outperform some other lenses. And while it may not be the sharpest one, for many photos I take, I find that if the lighting is correct, that the image is going to come out quite acceptable and very usable. What I like to use this lens for especially is when it comes to landscapes, because it does go wide at 18 millimeters. But also I find it very good for car photography, where you can get in very close to a car and it's going to give it very nice angles and a nice look to it. So those are the two things that I mostly do with this lens. It can actually do some good portraits also at 55 millimeters and serve as a standard lens. But personally, I tend to use it more in the wide range, because in the standard range, I do have my 50mm f1.8, which I'm using to film right now, and that serves me quite well. So only when I need to go wide do I go to this lens. The second aspect is the build quality. This lens is made of plastic pretty much entirely. The mount is plastic, and pretty much everything is plastic. The lens is, the glass inside of it is just, the cheapest thing they can get basically. But it still does the job quite well. I've had this lens for about 2 years now, and I have never dropped it or never given it any kind of abuse. But one problem I did have is the lens filter thread here. The thread broke while I was taking a filter off. It's still usable. I can still put and remove filters, no problem, but it does take away some of the aesthetic of the lens. So for my point of view, if you go with a lens with a cheap build quality like this one, just be careful with it, and it should still last you very easily up to 5 years, and perhaps even more if you're very careful with it. Just as anything else, if you treasure it and you treat it properly, it could last you a lifetime. And now to talk about the different features it has. It has a very nice, very smooth zoom ring, which goes from 18 millimeters to 55 millimeters. One thing I noticed is that this is the lens extended at 55 millimeters, which is normally the tallest that you will see the lens at. If I go down to 24 millimeters, you'll see that the lens retracts. But if you go further at 18 millimeters, you'll see that the lens extends again. This is not a major issue at all, but it's just something different from most other lenses, which would be closed at their widest and then extended at their longest. The other aspect is the buttons for the autofocus and manual focus, which is the switches on the side here. And you just switch them on and off. And you can turn the image stabilization on or the autofocus on and off. While in manual focus, you can focus the lens. But as you can notice, there is very, very, very little difference in how far you can go. So let's say I start here. So it's not even a quarter of a turn that I get. It's probably closer to 1/8 of a turn. So if you need to do some precise focusing manually, this is probably not the lens for you. It can still be done, but it's quite a headache and quite a hassle, honestly. What I do really love about this lens, though, is the image stabilizer. And what that does is it enables you to keep the image steady even if you use a longer shutter speed than usual. So if I go at 18 millimeters, for example, I can very often get very steady images as slow as 1 second and sometimes even 2 second shutter speed. So even if you don't have a lot of light, using the image stabilizer, it will help to compensate. The other aspect I love about the image stabilizer for this lens and all other lenses who have it is the ability to keep the videos steady. So with this lens, you put it at the widest, 18 millimeters, you put the image stabilizer on, and you're good to go. You don't need any fancy supports or anything. The camera will pretty much keep everything steady with the image stabilization on this lens. The last aspect of this lens that I will be discussing is the aperture. This comes with an f3.5 to 5.6 aperture. It's really not too good. It doesn't let in a lot of light, but using the image stabilizer, especially for photos, because with videos you are limited to either 30 or 1/30th or 1/60th, depending on the resolution you're using. But at least if you're taking photos, you do have the ability to compensate with the image stabilizer. If you're going to take pictures at nighttime or at events such as weddings and wedding receptions and other places where there is not a lot of light, probably I would recommend more a lens like the 50mm f1.8 or something in that range that will let in much more light and be much better for those situations. So in conclusion, I did take some really great photos with this lens and also some really great videos with it. One testament to how good this lens is I've had it for a bit over 2 years now, and I still have not seriously considered upgrading it. There are some better options, such as the 17 to 50mm f2.8 lens, which does offer a better aperture and a bit better image quality. But with the price difference, for me, this is still much better in my budget. And then, of course, there is the 24 to 70mm lens, and that's also a f2.8 lens. And that's really great for full frame cameras. But I find with the T2i that with the 1.6 crop factor, the image would be zoomed in a little bit too much, so I would lose that ability to go extra wide. The build quality is acceptable. It is made of plastic. It's not super strong or anything, but if you're careful with it, it should not cause you any troubles. The buttons are still pretty solid and, they work quite well after 2.5 years of work. The image stabilizer is a great function on this lens, and it's one function I would miss very greatly if I ever upgrade to the 24 to 70mm f2.8 lens, unless I go with the Tamron version, which does offer some vibration compensation. And finally, the aperture is not too good on this lens, but if you're out in the middle of the day, then there's really not any problems. As you can see from the following pictures, if you view the picture at full screen or print it out up to 8x10, the images can come out perfectly well. However, if you zoom in to 1:1 ratio, you will see some loss of resolution. The pictures will come out great, but this isn't the best lens for pixel peeping. The first picture is of a historical train station. At 1:1 pixel peeping, you can count each individual tile on the roof. The second picture is of a pedestrian bridge across a frozen river. At 1:1, you can see the texture of the snow. The last picture is a portrait of an iguana. At 1:1, you can see how nice its scales are. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please hit the subscribe button on top or the like button below if you enjoyed it and would like to see more of my videos. Have a great day, and don't forget to leave comments, questions, or suggestions in the boxes below.